Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. Well, hello and welcome back again to the Finding Harmony podcast. I cannot believe we have reached the last day of the year. Happy New Year's Eve. And I'm thrilled to have this conversation with two incredible women. We are closing the year out with one last touch on some sacred ways that you can tune into your mind, body, and connect with higher consciousness or spirit to really tap into the realms of embodiment and mindfulness and consciously manifest the most magnificent year. And so this podcast episode could not come at a more powerful time. I'm so glad you're listening today because I'm going to be joined by my dear friend, Lara Land, who's a trauma-informed yoga teacher trainer, and her multifaceted approach as a therapist, speaker, author, embodiment life coach, as well as the work that she does in her non-for-profit organization, 3.5 Acres, really has helped countless individuals learn how to reconnect with their bodies and reclaim their power. And we're just having a deep conversation about how to really tune into your inner wisdom and bring about the kind of energy that you want to cultivate in the coming year. So a little reflection and projection. And then I'm going to be chatting with Julia Martin, who is an innovative manifestation and business coach for women. And she is all about the basics of manifestation. She has many different ways to manifest. And if you haven't listened to her episode on our podcast before, she's given us her dream method at the beginning of this year, 2024. But now she's getting down to the heart of what we need to do to manifest. So the ABCs of manifestation, the 1, 2, 3s. And so for those of you who are like, just give me the basics. I just want to create the best year ever. How do I do it? She is your girl. She's going to tell us how. So get ready for 2 beautifully intimate conversations about rituals that can help you maybe process trauma, embrace a more embodied place within yourself, and then also manifest your heart's desire, your deepest desires, so that you can really bring in a powerful, powerful year. Whether it's healing old wounds or deepening your yoga practice or just bringing more intentionality to your business or your life and your relationships, this episode offers a wealth of wisdom and practical guidance and describes the path forward just for you. So let's get going. Hello, I'm here with my beautiful friend, Lara Land. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm very happy to see you.
I'm very happy to see you too. Tell us, we're doing a little compilation of some advice or rituals or things to help us transition from this very full, intense year into 2025.
Well, I'm very interested in how people make change. It's a particular area of study for me. Like, how do people change and how do people sustain change past January?
Not well.
Well, not well. I mean, the studies show that we don't very well. So I'm always investigating like how we can increase our odds. Mm-hmm. So when you asked me to come on and talk about this, I was thinking about that a lot and what I wanted to share with listeners. And I was like, what can I say that's different? And, one thing I was thinking is, and some of my work as a death doula, which is another area of my work, and how the limited time that we have and feeling that can really help us to make change.
That's true.
So I used to be really scared of death, and that's why I became a death doula, so that I could actually I didn't do it to really practice so much guiding people through that time of their lives, the end of their lives, although I may, but I did it more because part of becoming a death doula, they walk you through like it's as if you're passing and what you would want to do. And it helps you to get really clear on what's important. There's some programs out there too, like Last Year of Your Life. There's a program called Last Year of Your Life where you spend a year just living as if you have one more year.
Wow. I feel like I'd blow through all my savings.
Yeah, I mean, like something like that, right? It asks you like, what is that balance? Do I save too much for the future? And it is a balance, right? Because I mean, it depends on your own personal comfort level, risk level of how much you want to nest egg for a future that you might have,
Yeah.
or might not have, versus living in the now. We talk a lot about living in the now and not in the future, but realistically, humans have to live a little bit like planning for the future, especially if you have children, planning for their future. But like right then and there, what a great question to ask yourself. Like on that spectrum, like where do you lie? Like there's no answer of how it has to be, but knowing yourself, like how much do I want to be risk tolerant and try something new and save less for the future? Or like, have I been too much in the now and I have nothing to actually put towards my goals for next year? Like I have nothing saved away to do a bigger goal. So even just rating yourself, and I really love ratings. It's annoying sometimes, but I think in a good way to force yourself to say on a scale of 1 to 10 or on a scale of 1 to 100, where do I fall? And I think sometimes as creative types and yogis, we have a hard time to nail us down.
Yes.
Like I need to know, am I like an 80 or a 40? Like, and to force myself to nail down a number of like where I am on that and where I want to be. Because then in 4 or 6 weeks, you can actually assess and say, I've moved more towards that or away from that. So we should be a little more concrete in how we assess ourselves. What have we done to move toward our vision or move away from our vision so that we can get real? So part of making change is that discipline of writing things down and actually seeing if what we're doing is working.
Yeah, I love that. Would you suggest, I mean, I like to do this every once in a while, sometimes every 6 months, but even like for a year, maybe writing out a vision, and then you could kind of do what you're saying, rate yourself on like, where am I? How close am I to this goal or this vision for my life?
Yeah.
If I want to work 4 hours a week, I'm like a 1.
Yeah. And I would say even before we get there, and I know we've probably talked about this, is a lot of people go too fast to making their goal for the year. For instance, that's such a good example. Like, I want to work 4 hours a week. Why? Why do you want to work 4 hours a week? Because if you haven't thought it through, you might find that once you're working 4 hours a week, you're feeling really lonely. You're feeling really purposeless. Like you have too much time on your hands. And so 4 Hour Work Week became famous from Tim Ferriss, right? Who I'm a huge fan of. It's a normal thing to listen to people like that and take their goals on.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big mistake that we make. So, I usually say don't make any goals yet until you figure out what are your core values and really get to what is being driven by someone else or some idea of how one should be and what is being driven by your true desires. And I think thinking about death and what would I do if it was just about me? If I didn't have the influence of society or what my parents want me to do, which is crazy, but like still as adults, like we still have that,
Yeah.
like what our culture thinks is successful. And it can be hard to parse that out. There's a lot of programming that can feel like, no, that's what I want.
Yeah, the $1 million, right? I want to make $1 million a year. Do you really?
That's such a great example as well. I would say, what is the money for? Or what does that number make you feel that you're trying to feel? Right. And then how can you have more of that already? Is it more freedom? So getting a little deeper before you build the outside things. I often talk about instead of what you want, like, how do you want to be?
Yeah.
Instead of what, how is a good a good way. So I would definitely work on values and like deeper programming before setting goals. Otherwise, you're going to self-sabotage.
Totally.
We'll like stop that from happening because inside you don't really want it.
Yeah, or you're afraid of having it, or you think that it's gonna force you to give up something that you actually value more, right? I mean, a lot of times in business that you might have an income goal, but if deep down you feel like, "Oh, I have to work harder to do this, and that's gonna cause me pain, or I'm gonna lose time with my family and the people I love," you're never gonna get to the income goal because you haven't done that deeper work around actually looking at those fears of what's coming up around the goal too. So I love that you're bringing this up.
No, this is major. And you don't get something new without giving something up.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's a big thing as well. When you set your goal of what you want, you need to also say what you're willing to give up for that.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
you might realize that no, family time is more important to me.
Yeah, it puts things in perspective.
That puts things really in perspective. And so that's the other side is we're so motivated in the new year. And then we don't think about what could go wrong. Why are the reasons that I didn't do this in the past, especially if it's that thing that keeps coming up.
Mhm.
Maybe the thing that keeps coming up is the thing that you need to face, or maybe it's like there's a reason you're not doing it that's valid and you need to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, to let it go as a goal instead of like, keep trying for something that no, I'm not willing to give up whatever it is for that. And that's
Yeah. Or it's just not a priority really, like the
yeah, just
stinky
saying.
old goals that are like just hanging around in the back of your mind.
And if you start saying, but I should, right? That's
Yeah.
a really good clue. So if you find yourself using the word should, I see this a lot. I should be doing this. I should be doing this, or I should have this goal, or I should want this more. That's a really good clue that something's not in alignment. It's not
Mhm.
coming from you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great tip. Pay attention to how you're shitting all over yourself.
That's right. That's right.
And so, do you have any thoughts on how we can create more clarity around our values, our vision, our should goals, our I really want this kind of goals?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of really good, very simple value lists out there.
Mhm.
Brene Brown has one. They're easy enough to Google. I use them with my clients all the time. Most people will circle everything at first, and that's okay. But you really have to force yourself to narrow down really to like a top three if you can't do one. The human mind can't really focus on many things at once. And I always say, if you choose everything, you choose nothing. So people are afraid to make choice because they're afraid of all the things that it means that they're not doing when they make that choice. But I say just gentleness with that. Make a choice for this year
Mm,
or whatever your time period is, but don't stop it because the feeling goes away,
mm,
desire goes away. Because, we're so lucky, Harmony, because we come from a tradition of discipline and we know how to do that. We know how to get up every day and go to our mat, whether we want to or not. And even if we don't do that still, like that discipline is so ingrained in us.
mhm,
And that is something that was a great gift from having a very long-term discipline practice. Even for folks who don't do that anymore, if you had something that taught you that discipline, it's still with you. But a lot of people don't have that. And this is nothing wrong. We're taught to do what we feel. So if you don't feel motivated anymore, if you don't feel like it anymore, like if you can't really remember why you wanted to do that, if you're not liking your choice anymore, you stop. So I think we don't know what's on the other side of that. So it's not that it's not okay to stop because you can quit or switch a goal,
mhm,
but you should give yourself a strict time period that you're testing it. That could be 3 or 6 or 12 months. And once you decide that, deciding that I'm going to do this thing, whether I like it or not, it's not going to be based on feeling. It's going to be based on that I made the choice. And I'm going to evaluate at a very specific point. Maybe 6 months is when I'll decide. And before that, I'm just going to keep doing it because I'm going to give it a good scientific try.
I think that's so, so important because it's easy. I mean, I forget what day it is. I think it might be like day 18 or something of January 18th or something is like called Quitter's Day, right? Because we set these goals and then everyone quits at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I like that. Even if it's just like for the month of January, I'm going to do this one thing, or I'm going to do 15 minutes towards this bigger goal, or
Yeah.
something like that, that helps you to commit to something that's also manageable. Because that's another thing that we tend to do, especially as like people with big visions who want to take on a lot or really want to make big changes in our lives. Sometimes we try to do too much, right? You're like, I'm going on the cleanse and I'm going to exercise a half hour a day and I'm going to get up and practice yoga for 2 hours and meditate. And then I'm going to meditate at night. I'm going to do pranayama.
Yeah.
And it's what? No, you're
Yeah.
not.
It's way too much.
Yeah, it's
It's
like 0
way
to 100, right?
and you ask people to take it down, and even the down they take it is way too much. So I'm really about breaking it into the smallest next step. It's more about building a belief in yourself. It's really more about accountability that builds into bigger steps. You really don't want to tell yourself the story that you don't do what you say you're going to do. It's not a great story for your subconscious. So pick something smaller that you can do, feel proud about it, and then add to it rather than the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also tell that to my clients too that are trying to make some changes. I say, make it ridiculously small.
Yeah.
Like stupidly small.
Yeah.
And just do that. If you want to start back into your yoga practice, just stand on your mat.
That's
Just
true.
roll out your mat and stand on your mat for like 2 minutes every day. And that's a success.
Yeah.
If you do more, fine. But that's not the goal. The goal is just like stand on your mat for 1 week. Once you got that, okay. Maybe it's Ekam Dwai Trini, right? But it's like, it has to be so small. And maybe that's even too big. Maybe it's just like roll your mat out, right?
It's also about planning in advance for things that will go wrong. So I think when we're excited, we're like, nothing will stop me now. And then we forget about all the things that have typically gotten in our way. So you might want to ask folks, or like folks might want to investigate, like, when I tried to do something in the past, why did I stop? What are some things that are likely to get in my way? And what will I do when things get really busy in February, or when this thing happens again, which it inevitably will. So you already have a plan, and you make that plan when you're feeling motivated and excited, and you have it ready for when you're not.
I love it. The back pocket plan.
Like, now you're feeling good, you're feeling excited, you're feeling motivated. So now is the time. Write out all your plans, your backup plans, and you'll have that little thing like, open this box when things get rough, and it'll remind you of what to do. Because the thing is, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like not successful, when you're feeling tired, you can't remember what your plan was. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to emphasize that you're not going to remember what your plan B and C are. So write it down.
Yes.
And maybe it's put on this song, something that's going to change or shift your energy, that's going to help you just go step by step.
And have it already there. You will not know what to do when you're already in it. That's why you think of it now when you're feeling good.
I love it. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to connect for this, and wise words and great advice. And I love this. So hopefully people get motivated, and as they're making their visions and they're tapping into their values and creating their goals for this coming year, they're also creating their backup plans in an envelope, putting it beside their bedside table.
And I'll just say one more thing to folks listening. As you're making your goals for this year, I know I was talking seriously, but make it fun. And I love rituals. I love getting super witchy this time of year. I love lighting candles, taking salt baths, and making it like super inviting and crafty. And like I said, witchy, like I do my spells and put all my energy into it. So whatever that is for you, some people like to burn the last year, or just make it unique to yourself, and it will add power to your dreams and your visions.
I love it. Thank you so much. And people can find you on and listen to your podcast, get your bliss book to set themselves up for the year.
Yeah. They can find me at laraland.us. My podcast is Beyond Trauma. Harmony's been on it a few times. And my bliss book is actually a book that helps you to lay out your planning for the year. So it's perfect timing.
Yeah. Yay. Okay, my dear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you, Harmony.
Love you too. Hi, I'm here with the amazing Julia Martin. Hello. You're going to teach us a simple ritual to manifest something for 2025?
Yeah. And like, I was thinking about this because you reached out and you're like, can we do a little manifesting on the podcast? Something like short that's going to be powerful. And I actually was like, I want to do something new and I'm going to bring in these new techniques. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, actually, we need to go back to the basics and make this feel really simple and accessible and what actually works. Like when we think about what we want to call in, we don't have to complicate it with all these fancy tools and techniques. Like there's a really basic structure to doing this that I think is the most powerful.
I love this because there's so many different ways. And like you say, things that people are saying, oh, sex magic and meditation magic and, all the different things you can do if you can remember to manifest at the top of your climax, go for it. But let's get back to basics.
So are you ready? Do we want to walk through?
Yeah, please walk me through it. Let's do it.
The steps are going to be really easy, and these are not coined by me. This is manifestation 101. If you've read like The Secret, do you know what the 3 steps to manifesting are?
Not off the top of my head.
It's ask, believe, receive.
Okay.
Ask, believe, receive. Now you're going to see it everywhere on mugs, on signs.
Okay.
The slogan to manifesting. You ask, you believe, you receive. So the first step, and this is what I want everyone to do. What's interesting about this, or I would say ironic, is that this feels like the easiest step. Ask for what you want. But it is the one that gets people tripped up the most. It is one of those things where it feels so easy. Oh, yeah, just write down a list of all the things you want. When in reality, most people know what they don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in this relationship. I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want this job. I don't want this home. I don't like the way this is. I don't like my body. And that's what we're putting out there, right? That is actually the energy that we're putting out and that is reflecting back to us. So that's when we get stuck and we're like, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? It's because if you're thinking about the things that you don't want, whether you're writing it down or not, it's an energy that you're putting out there. So the first step is to get clear on what you do want and put that out there. And the easiest way to do this, because it's not easy, like for a lot of us, we actually don't know what we want, right? We're actually like, I don't actually know what I want to do. I don't even know where I want to live. These like big questions. So I like to think about this. An easy tool is the Wheel of Life. Have you ever done the Wheel of Life exercise?
Yes, several times.
I actually do this, Harmony, probably once a quarter for myself.
Yeah.
And the Wheel of Life, it's just basically, it gives you a holistic 360-degree view of your life. So what you're doing is taking inventory of how you feel in different areas of your life. So your wheel can be made up of different things, but the wheel that I like to think about when I have a fully balanced life and balance, we never want fully balanced, but we want it to feel fulfilled in different areas. So we have health, we have relationships. You can separate relationships into love and then friendships or family. You have personal development, you have finances, you have work, career, you can put spirituality in there, but it's basically these different areas that make up the whole of your life. Maybe you want fun as an area or recreation. And you simply, again, you're rating how you feel in each of these areas. Because if you're like loving your career and you're lit up by the work you do, maybe it's a 10 out of 10. But if your relationships are being sacrificed, right? You have no time for your partner or your friends or having fun, your life isn't going to feel fulfilling. And I think the ultimate goal with manifesting anything is not to manifest the specific things like the money or the job or what. It's to feel fulfilled and to have a life of joy and peace and fun and happiness and all those things, because that's what we ultimately want. And so this exercise, once you do the wheel, you can start to pinpoint areas where it's not a 10 out of 10. Maybe it's a 3 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10. And then that's where I would focus on, okay, well, what would make it a 10 out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're already super satisfied in your love romantic relationship, you don't need to manifest anything more. Focus on the areas of your life that don't feel in balance or where you do want to call something in. So again, this is helping you identify what to put on the vision board, so to speak, or what to put out there. And it can be as simple as so let's just use health, for example, and you're at a 5 out of 10 and you think, okay, why am I not at a 10 out of 10? Well, I'm not really dedicating any time to eating healthfully or to moving my body or you start to think about what would make me feel vibrant and energized and get out of bed and feel like I'm in such great shape and such great health and feel so good in my skin. Well, here's some of the things that I want. I want to wake up and feel really energized. I want to have a good night's rest every night. And so you just start to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
Same for the different areas. That will help. So, and finance is a big one for people. How do you really want to feel? Maybe it's financially free. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel like I can give back and not have that feeling. I want to feel like I can spend money on a vacation with my family, like that kind of thing. So write all of those things down. There's no real right way to do this. Like you can write down specific things that you want to call in. You can write down feelings. I like to do a mixture of both. Like I'll write something really tangible. And then I'll also write down like the feeling that I want to call in.
How specific should we get with writing these things down?
So there's different schools of thought here. Some people say if you are, according to human design, a specific manifester, then you write specifics. If you don't, I'm technically a non-specific manifester, but I like writing down specifics.
Mm-hmm.
So I will write down the dollar amount that I want to call in per month.
Right.
But I'll also write down how I want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you. I think my suggestion would be if it feels good to write it down in that way, do it. If you're stuck on it and you're like, I don't know, writing down the specific number makes me feel, then don't do it. That defeats the whole point.
Right. So you need to feel kind of good and excited about what you're writing down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good and excited. That's the whole idea is we want to feel good and excited by our lives. So this is step 1 is you ask for it. And there's so much research that has been done about the power of writing things down physically. And I'm not talking typing them in your phone or on a doc. Grab a journal and write it down.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spiritual perspective to this. There's also a neurological perspective to this. Like the act of writing it down is very powerful and what it does to our subconscious and putting it in our subconscious belief system. And also, I think that there is definitely a spiritual piece to this. I feel like when we write it down, we are putting in our order to the universe. So that's step 1. Write down everything that you want and use the wheel of life to guide you.
Okay. Should we do this daily? Should we do it weekly?
I do it once a quarter.
Okay. Once a quarter.
In corporate quarters, but I think you can do it. You could do it once a year. You can do it once a month. Probably daily. It wouldn't change that much.
Yeah.
I just like to go back to it because sometimes there are new ideas that I have or things that I've already manifested and cross them off the list. But I think just to check in every once in a while to, does this still feel aligned? Or are these still the things that I want to call in? Or are these still the experiences I want to call in? What else am I inspired by?
Yeah.
Let's
I love that.
Yeah. There are some prompts that you can do here too. I like to think about who would benefit from this outside of me. So is it family members? Are there other people? Who would this serve? If I called this in, thinking about it less from just like an ego, me, but what would this mean for others? And it can even be things like going back to the financial example. If I felt financially free, like these are the places where I want to give back. Or even I'd go shopping with small businesses. I would, support my local economy this way. Just thinking beyond yourself.
Yeah.
And always going back to how it's going to make you feel. Feeling is the universal language, right? And tapping into that, not just when you write it down, but when you read it back to yourself. The feeling of that. Oh, when I call this in, this is how it's going to feel, and try to feel that now.
I love that. I love focusing also on the feeling, because I think at the heart of it, that's often why we want certain things, is because we want that feeling of freedom, or that feeling of joy, or that feeling of contentment or love or abundance. All of those things are feeling words.
It's always the feeling.
Yeah.
The thing is just the means that we think is going to get the feeling.
Yeah.
But if we make all the money and we don't feel financially free, or we still feel scarce, like it doesn't matter. The money didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Or same with the job or the partner or anything. It's like we want these things to feel a certain way. So that's why thinking about the feeling first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal. So that's the first step. Ask, put it out there, write it down, read this list back to you. There's actually this little book. It's a little red book that was written in 1905 or something. It's called It Works!
Yeah.
Mark. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. So I read about this, I think it was in Think and Grow Rich. You've heard of Think?
Huh? Yeah.
You talked about this concept, and it was this concept of ask, believe, receive, manifestation, that was written in this little red book that it was kind of like a secret. And they would pass out this pamphlet at different companies, and everyone in the company would, all the salespeople, their numbers would skyrocket. And it was just like this secret thing that no one really knew about. They were trying to keep hush hush. It's like this. And I bought this pamphlet for so many people. It's this tiny little red book. And it was passed around in secret. But it's basically, it says the whole idea is you write down what you want and get really specific. Write down the number of clients that you want to call in, the amount of money, the type of car you want to drive. Write it down, fold it up, put it away, and see what happens in a year. And in this book, they're like, you will be shocked. There's something crazy that happens. This is a phenomenon. This is witchery. And it's just, I like it because it's such a concise way of describing what, now there's books and a million different coaches talking about it, but it's so simple. It's write down what you want. It's so simple. Just write it down.
It's so simple. And then believe. You have to actually believe it's going to work, right?
I think this step is like, people are like, okay, how do I believe it if I don't believe it?
Right.
How does that work? And this is more about reframing your self-imposed limiting beliefs, because anything is possible. Really, anything is possible. Yet we try to convince ourselves that it's not. And that's from defense mechanisms, that's from society, that's from all the programming. So this step, the way I like to do it in kind of this order, is you look at all those things that you want to call in and you write down, what are all the reasons why I don't think I can have that?
Mm.
And you just start with that. Don't question it. Just like literally be honest with yourself. Let it be a brain dump of all of your limiting beliefs. Like, it's not possible. I'll never be able to do that. I can't this. I won't this. I'm not worthy. I'm not blah. Just write it all down. Write it all down to the point where there's nothing left. Right? Like you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's probably all of my.
Yeah.
And then one by one, you go in and you poke holes. And this is actually a lot easier than it seems, because you'll be able to find counter evidence for all of the things that you write down.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you're not telling yourself something that isn't true. So we're reframing it. We're writing down a new belief, but you're not saying like, I'm a millionaire, or like, these empty affirmations that end up being psychologically damaging, right? Because they're not true and you're just like saying it and it doesn't feel right. You're saying things that you actually believe. I believe that it's possible that I can call this into my life.
Mhm.
I have seen other people do this. If it's possible for someone else, it's possible for myself. There have been things that I have manifested in my life that have come out of nowhere. You just start writing these things down and you realize, whoa, I'm starting to convince myself.
Yeah.
And you do it one by one. And I think we talked about this in your last podcast, Harmony, but one of the things that I wanted to call in for so long was to have Mike Dooley on my podcast.
Yes.
Of this man, he introduced me to manifestation, and I realized it wasn't happening because I didn't believe that it could.
Yeah.
I thought he was too big. I thought I was too annoying. I thought I wasn't going to figure out a way to get in touch with him. I was flooded with so many limiting beliefs. And so when I did this process, which I should have done in retrospect before, but I went through and I wrote every belief, like why he would not come on my podcast. And one by one, I reframed them. And it was not a coincidence that after I did this and really like you read your reframes and you're like, yeah, he's probably going to come on. Or like, I can see this happening. That's where we want to get. And we repeat it over and over and over again, these new beliefs. This is where, the rewiring in our brain happens.
Yeah.
Practice. You're going to have to do it over and over. But then you start to believe it. And for me, like it took a week. And then he reached out to me.
It's
And
amazing.
I'm not saying that as, oh my God, it's not. This happens.
When you clear the block, then the path is clear. And then the connection is there.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I think of it as just electricity, right? That's what we are. We're all just energy.
Yeah.
And we're emitting this frequency like electricity. And every negative thought is just creating these little like resistance. If you let those go, it just flows. It just flows. The thing that you want just flows more effortlessly to you. So that's the step of belief, is get yourself to believe it by repeating to yourself what you know to be true, which is that anything is possible. And then the last step is receive.
Yes.
And
allow yourself to receive.
Surrender. It's all those things. It's stepping back. It's getting into the feminine energy. It's like realizing that when we try to control, that creates resistance. It's trusting. It's letting go of timelines. It's letting go of the how. It's letting go of the when, the specifics. It's just like this. I'm ready. And I think in terms of a practice, I think there's a few different things you can do here, but we were just talking about this. Getting into a state of gratitude is the ultimate way to receive. Being grateful for the present moment, anchoring into that energy of gratitude and appreciation for where you are. You can feel it, right? We were just talking about how I just did this gratitude practice and I came in like buzzing because I felt so good. And I know that when I feel that way, I am becoming a magnet for all the things that I desire, for more things to be grateful for the things on the vision board. It's getting into this place of loving your life the way it is now, not feeling like you need anything, but being open to receive the miracles and the extras.
Yeah, I love that. I think sometimes we get it confused that contentment is like just saying, I love my life and I don't want anything to change. But I think true contentment's really exactly what you're expressing and describing, is that state of such like deep gratitude. And that deep gratitude leads to this love for everything that's here, that's present. You're feeling so grateful. And then it actually opens you up to everything else, like whatever else is about to show up or not show up. But it doesn't matter if it comes or it doesn't come or whatever, because you're just so grateful and happy and content with things as they are. And it's again, it clears that resistance. It clears that block in our connection and in our ability to be receptive to whatever is coming.
Exactly. It is, if we talk about it in terms of vibration, it is the highest vibration is to be in this deep state of gratitude. And we know that when we are feeling that way, when our energy is in that place of openness and gratitude, it's like that's when we receive.
Yeah.
So it's in terms of if it's like a step to do, have a gratitude practice. Start every morning. And I feel like it's almost trite at this point, Harmony, because people talk about gratitude, right? Your list. But it's like, it's that powerful. It really is. And a way to think about this, so it's not just I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health, cup of coffee. This is not coined by me, but I had someone on the podcast. Her name's Jocelyn Sandstrom, and I actually posted about this morning. A way to really think about your life and to feel deep gratitude for the things in your life. There's a little exercise where you think about, if someone took these things away from me, how would it feel when I got them? Whether it's someone in your life, whether it's, we talked about even something as silly as your phone, and you're like, I want the newest iPhone. I want the bigger camera, blah, blah. When your phone is taken away from you, you don't have it for a week, you would get it back and you'd be like, this is everything I need. I love this phone and I'm connected. I can reach out to people. I can connect with them, get information. And it's like that, treasuring it. Or for you, when you travel so much, and then you come home to your own bed.
Yeah.
And you treasure it and you realize, I don't need the bigger space. I don't need the giant backyard. I love my home.
Yeah.
So perfect for me. It's feeling that kind of gratitude. So it's not artificial. Okay, I'm going to feel grateful. It's actually look at the things in your life and think about if they were taken away. How would you feel in getting them back?
I love that. That's a good hack. I think also exactly what you're saying, like what that does is it moves you into that feeling place again. Sometimes we're doing it as a mental exercise, right? Like I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. But like when you really feel the sense of gratitude, it's emotional.
I know, it makes you tear up.
Yeah.
It does. And I think about this with my kids a lot is sometimes like this silly little things I take for granted. And then thinking, okay, they're getting older. This thing that they do, coming into my bed every night and sleeping with me. And even though they're kicking me, like, how grateful am I that they're at this stage where they want to do that, and how sweet this moment is. It's not going to be here forever, but I want to relish in it. And that feeling feels so good. Who doesn't like to feel grateful?
Yeah. Yeah. It also brings you really into the present moment too, I think, where you're just like, yeah, so present to what's here for you. And it's so full when you are able to tap into that.
It is like, I think most of us don't realize it's just such a gift to be alive. All of it, the ups, the downs, the challenges, everything. It's all a gift. And I think also when you can just, I don't know, recognize that even the hard parts are serving you and helping you grow and shaping you into who you are, the things that trigger you, the people that trigger, like all of it is for you. And finding gratitude for all of that, it's wow. It can be really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your magic with us, your manifestation magic. It's a full package of manifestation wonders for people. So they have the process now: ask, believe, receive.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's always so nice to connect with you.
So fun. Thank you, Harmony.
Thank you. So as we stand on the threshold of a new year, I want to give you a huge thanks for being part of the Finding Harmony family. Whether you're celebrating tonight with loved ones or out partying or taking time for quiet reflection, or probably like us going to bed early and getting up early, I just want to remind you that these moments where we're consciously closing something and intentionally opening ourselves up to a beautiful new beginning are really, really special. So take this time to just honor yourself. Take a moment to do a little ritual, something that can serve you to close out this year in a way that feels meaningful, that feels good, that is also giving gratitude to all of the experiences that you had this year. The good ones, the painful ones, the brilliant ones, the sad ones, all of them. Just reflect, what did you learn? How did it help you grow? And how have you changed since this day last year? And then as the clock counts down to midnight, just know that you're not only carrying the wisdom with you of this past year, but that there's infinite potential, literally infinite potential available for the one that is yet to come. So thank you for making the Finding Harmony podcast part of your 2024. And cheers. Here's to new adventures, deeper connections, more powerful rituals in 2025. And may your new year be filled with purpose, joy, and endless possibilities. I cannot wait to see and speak with and connect with your beautiful soul in all the places, in all the ways as we head into 2025. Happy New Year. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.